right, everybody, welcome back to MAPOP Sports. This is Grandy. If this is your first time here, everybody, welcome. Hopefully everybody had a great weekend. Today, by the title, you guys kind of know what I kind of wanted to talk about. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because of over the weekend. What affects sports card sales, whether in person or at least in my case online, as I have the online store on eBay. There's many factors, and I feel this weekend one great factor was pretty cool. We'll talk about that at the end, but the main factor everybody always gonna say is price. I mean, till the day of dawn, till the day of sales, till the day of bargaining, pricing has always been at the forefront of the whatever item you're selling. It doesn't matter, sports cards or not. So price, obviously, let's just throw that out there. That's going to be on the forefront of what affects and of sales of your store. So the thing is, a storefront like myself, or many thousands or other stores, or even just other people who are selling sports cards online, to battle against the big conglomerates or the bigger businesses that do sports cards, pricing is going to definitely be key. We have to be aggressive. That's 100%. That's kind of well known. I've noticed that obviously since the beginning of doing this full time. But what I've really definitely realized is, especially since I want to say after the pandemic, obviously as the market has gone down, I wouldn't even say after the pandemic. I would say primarily mostly this year, 2023, as the economy has taken a hit. A lot of people don't have that extra money to spend on luxuries of sports cards. I mean, at the end, you can say what it is. It's it's a luxury to be able to purchase sports cards. That's how I see it as. So pricing definitely has been a big effective tool or debacle, I guess you could say. So those are one of the things I definitely feel. You want to be aggressive, but not overly aggressive, where you kind of don't get the biggest bang for your buck as a business or as a person trying to sell your card. So throw it out there. Pricing, that definitely affects your sales, good or bad. It just depends. Especially when you have a storefront like myself, if you have that many thousands of listings, you're not going to be able to go back and adjust every individual price. So this leads to many other things that I feel also affects the pricing. So over this weekend, several football players had a great weekend. I noticed that instantly. I didn't even have to watch the games, honestly, to see who had a great weekend. That's kind of the funny thing. All I needed to do was look at my sales. So what happened was, as this weekend, all the games were playing, I was busy with my kids, and I was just, I can see the sales as they coming in through my eBay store, and I already knew who had a good week or who's having a great game. You can pretty much see the kind of aspects of the sales and the demand for those cards. So that's why when I say pricing affects the sales, is that don't be too eager to change pricing if a specific player cards don't sell instantly, even if they're priced, even the higher end price cards or mid price or whatever, or whatever the case may be. Don't be in a rush. This is what I've learned. So by all means, this is from my experience, and everybody else is different, but don't be in a rush to go and change the pricing and just keep lowering it just because it doesn't sell instantly in a day or two or week, or even in this case, there's a specific player, and we just jump in. Is James Cook. I had several sales of James Cook. I mean, he had a great game for the Buffalo Bills. Cards that I probably listed for months ago, since the beginning of the year, never sold, but I never really went back and changed the pricing. But after his game this weekend, he had a great game, and next thing you know, his cards were selling, and I never adjusted that price. So I'm grateful I didn't go and adjust the price, because then at least I got the best bang for my buck for whatever I paid for that card, whatever, I got it graded or whatever the case may be. I get the most profit I could possibly. And that's how I felt. And that's what I've learned, was that don't be in a rush to go and change the pricing, because you just don't know, especially in with today's players. I feel like that's the biggest thing. They are the biggest forefront of what affects a card price and sales. If a player has a great game, if a player has a great season, great whatever, his cards or her cards, whatever, is going to be in higher demand. So when that happens is when there's higher demand, obviously the pricing of it is going to go up. So that's why sometimes I feel like don't be in a rush to change the price, but then it also depends on the player himself, herself. If they produce, then their cards will exceed what is priced currently, and people will purchase and buy. So that is probably the biggest effective tool of sales, is if the player plays good or not. So people are probably like, well, how do you know who's going to have a good season and not? Or you really can't predict the future, and you can't predict injuries. That's the biggest key. Injuries is what derails a lot of people's careers, and in reality derails a lot of these cards prices. That's what I've noticed for sure. Injuries happen. Look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is a great example of this year. As soon as he had that injury, his cards tanked. So go figure on that. However, before the injury, all season long, before this season, his expectations was high, his card demand was high. Somebody like that, I can see, next year, and that's why I wouldn't be in a rush, to change any of his prices unless you really need the capital. Then that's different. If you really need the funds to do whatever you need to do with it, then obviously that changes the whole aspect of it. But if you can hold on to it, someone like that who's young, who you would hope can recover from the injury. And the thing is, if going to the off season, if he's able to build up the hype saying he's 100%, blah blah blah, there'll be that anticipation once again, and then you'll see the demand for his cards once again will rise, and his pricing will rise again, and hopefully you can make the sales then also. So definitely the biggest aspect is going to be the players and how they perform today. Now, players who are in the past, Hall of Famers who have retired, their play can't affect anything. So it's not going to affect their pricing. So that's going to be different. I'm talking about the modern guys currently right now. They're going to be the ones who can affect their pricing the most. But then that's why there's such a huge influx. You can see the ups, the downs, the pricing's up and down, up and down, up and down of all the modern guys. And that's why I feel like inventory, you always got to split it half and half. That's why I'm trying to reach to that point, is because all of the older, well, gentlemen who's retired, vintage, all that stuff, they can't really do too much to tarnish their images to where they can, or their careers, that they, their cards will go down or anything like that in value as much. So they are always going to be at a steady pace. So that's what I've noticed, that I'm going to try and keep those, because they're always at a steady pace. I always say it's consistent. Their pricing, sales, everything. Today's and age, the modern guys, like I said, they're going to be up and down, up and down. You got to be able to deal with that. And that's what affects the most, is just their play. That's gonna be at the end of the day. Another big factor that affects pricing and sales and everything and all the above, what affects sales of sports cards, whether in person or online, supply and demand. It's as simple as that. So the thing is, the more it's on the market, the more aggressive you're gonna have to be on pricing to get that sale. It's just basic business. And right now, certain players have a ton, obviously in the past several years, the rookie cards have been, they've printed a ton. Panini, Topps, Upper Deck, all them, they've been printing like crazy, especially Panini. We all know that. There's no need to beat a dead horse with that. We know Panini's, that's part of business. They're going to print as much as they can and sell as much as they can. So simple as that. So the supply there is quite high. on certain cards. Now, obviously, the more rare cards and everything like that, they should be able, or the numbered cards, the high or the low numbered cards and stuff like that, or autographs, things like that. Those are kind of more rare. So sales on those, depending, like I just said, it's just the supply. If you go to eBay, if you go to CompC, if you go to Gold, what's his name, Golden Auction, all those stuff. If you look and see how much supply for a specific card, you can see how aggressive you're gonna have to be on the pricing if you want to make the sale. So that's the biggest thing. And then what you'll also notice is that when certain players, as we just say, they all intertwine. So if a player plays really, really well, people start buying their cards. Next thing you know, the supply diminishes. So then what happens? The pricing goes up. It's just the ebbs and flows of sports cards is like almost any other business you can think about. So those people who are like, quit treating sports cards or anything like what do they say? Like a stock market or a business. I mean, at the end of the day, it kind of is. It's not 100% exactly like it, but it really, truly kind of is. It's all about supply and demand that affects the prices, that affects the sales. It all depends on the quality of the product. And the quality of the product is how the players play. That's the biggest thing. So the quality of the product is how the players produce and play. They win championships, things like that. The team wins, all that stuff. That's the quality of the product. So the better the quality, the better the product, the more of the sales. Pricing is always going to be an issue. That's always a big deal. Everybody wants, the lowest they can to pay for something that has high quality product. So in a sense, you got to treat it as a business. I feel like those are the biggest things that definitely affect sales. And I saw it forefront, and it's exciting to me, somebody who, has this online, shop to sell sports cards, is that somebody has a great game, and to see a card that I listed months and months ago, even maybe a year ago, and to sell because somebody had a great weekend, a great day, or just made the Hall of Fame. See, that's another thing too that affects the sales aspects of cards, is that somebody who just made a big splash in the news, whether they just made the Hall of Fame or things like that, or they broke specific records or things like that, that also affects the sales of cards. So it's cool as a business owner and somebody who's in the industry and somebody who's, seeing everything come into play. It's really, really unique and cool from my aspect to see that. I get excited. It's not so much I get excited about the profit and money aspect, because at the end of the day, this is still sports cards. So it's not like I'm being super rich. I'm not getting super rich on it, but it's kind of cool to see how it all intertwines into one another. How you see somebody plays really well, how you see somebody, like I said, gets in the news for good or bad. This is the crazy thing, is even bad publicity on specific players, ex-players, things like that, somehow or another, we live in this weird society that affects sales. Some people don't know why, they like the bad publicity, or some ex-athlete or athlete does something really, really bad. It affects the sales of the price. Could be lower, could be higher. It all depends. I've seen players who had high value of their cards all of a sudden do something, illegal, or gets into trouble with the law, and their cards tank. For instance, I hate to bring it up, but like Henry Ruggs, what happened with his cards were, he was trajectorying high, and then, doing something stupid and gets in trouble with the law. His cards can barely sell. It's one of those things where, once again, it comes to the quality of your product, the quality of the player, and how they do and what they do affects everything of sales. And that's what I've noticed. And like I said, it's kind of cool to see cards that sell that hasn't sold for so long. And I'm really grateful, same shit, but that I didn't go and change certain pricing and kept them the way, and just be persistent and patient. That's the biggest thing. I told you guys this. I'm working on that. I'm super impatient, so I'm glad I was patient enough to let the players decide the quality of the product. That instead of just going there and just lowering all your price, Let the players kind of decide the quality of the product if you are able to be patient enough to do that. I was in this case, so there you guys go. Some people aren't, and that's a different. Everybody's going to be in a different situation, so you can't hate on somebody who sells something that technically should be worth $20 and they sell it for $10 because they need the funds for something else. Is what it is. So, all right, guys, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. That's what I've noticed over the weekend. If you guys like this stuff, great. Subscribe. Thanks for checking me out. Don't forget, check out the eBay store. I put everything in the description. Helps me out if you guys go buy those cheap cards. I have plenty of those. I'm trying to up my vintage and older players and Hall of Famers type deal, so go check that out on a daily basis. I've been trying to do that. And other than that, man, until next time, guys, appreciate it.